My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Property Profits Podcast. I'm your host, Bryce Kaminsky, stepping into Dave Dubois as he's working on the next big thing. Today on the show, I've got Amanda Pope, and she's going to let us in on how you can do the perfect Brrr and have a newborn baby. That's a lot to handle. Both of them are kind of like giving birth in a particular different way. I'm sure Amanda has a different story. One is probably easier than the other. How are you doing today, Amanda?
I'm good. Thanks. Thanks so much for having me on the show.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, wow, to pull off, not only to pull off a perfect Brrr, because those are, few and far between, because you're zooming in from Calgary. Is that where
From
you're based
Calgary.
out of now? So
Yeah.
Canadian real estate and pulling off a Brrr, especially in a major city, is not, it's probably easier to have a kid than to pull that off these days. So how did you, the main question we always like to start with here is, how did you get started and ultimately addicted to real estate?
So my first taste of real estate was actually when I was in high school. My parents owned a 9-unit apartment building in Edmonton. So I was responsible for doing cleaning every weekend. I'd pick up the rent checks and things like that. So that was kind of like my first taste. And then when I moved to Calgary, I bought a home in 2013, put in a basement suite. So I had tenants in the basement, and then I also had a roommate living with me upstairs. So that was covering my bills and then some. So I kind of thought, oh, this is great. I should probably get a few more properties. But then I took a little bit of a break and then continued on the path. So in terms of the Brrr, did you want me to dive
Well,
right
let's
into that?
what was interesting is let's back it up a little bit more to the
Hmm.
your first touch to real estate there. How old are you in collecting rent checks?
Well, probably 16, 17.
Like, where's the rent in a 16-year-old girl
There
for
was
renting a
there
house?
was a drop box at that
Okay, so
time.
you just had to go and like
Yeah.
pick it up from the thing. But
'Cause-
still, that's
Yeah,
so they had you involved in their real estate. Was that the only real estate that they owned?
it was. Yeah. Yeah. It's just one and done for them. My dad probably wasn't much of an educated landlord, so just seeing where improvements could have been made, kind of made me want to get started on my own.
Yeah. So the real estate's been kind of revolving and surrounding now. Um, you were house hacking, and in your
Mhm.
in the podcast research form you had mentioned that maybe that basement suite wasn't so much up to code, and then eventually you had moved it up to code when you moved out, or when you were still living there. Like, what had you, because some people, they just rent out basement suites and it is what it is, but what had you having to legalize that suite and make it up to code?
Hmm. So it had bedrooms, egress windows, and a bathroom in the basement. There's shared laundry. There was no kitchen, so I did have to put the kitchen in. Actually, one of the windows I did have to enlarge as well. And that was pretty much it. I did not legalize it at that time. That is one of the reasons why I sold the property. I wasn't really educated in the fact that you could apply for rezoning to legalize the suite.
Hmm.
So I just left it as is, sold it, and said we'll move on to something else where it is zoned for a basement suite. So that's what I did after that.
Okay, so then fast forward, your partner, you guys end up having a child. I mean, that's pretty obvious how that that particular thing happens, but how did you end up doing your this Brrr that that you're most proud of right now? How did it line up at the same time? Because a lot of people, when they go down the route of having children, they kind of like do one or the other. Why both, and how did you remain successful in that?
Question. I honestly don't know how it aligned at the same time, just luck of the draw. We were looking for a property either to flip or burn for probably just short of a year. This property just happened to come across from a wholesaler and it was too good of a deal to pass up on. And
Hmm.
then possession day just happened to fall, what were we, 14 days after my due date or after he was born, I guess. So It was pretty crazy getting started. My partner took pat leave for 5 weeks and then pretty much spent all of the time over the project working on renovations for the Burr.
So that you guys
Yeah.
did it by hand. He went in there and put the
Yeah.
hammer
So
to the nails.
yeah, exactly. So we did get a really good deal on the property. And then my partner, this was also a JV as well. So my partner and then our other partner worked on the renovations themselves. So that's
Hmm.
one of the reasons why this project was so successful is we did save a lot of money on the renovation side. That was the plan. They wanted to do it themselves, just to get more experience overall. We would never do it that way again, especially
Yeah,
with a newborn. Would not recommend.
would
But
not
I wouldn't,
recommend. I like that.
no, would not recommend. I don't regret it. I don't think either of us do. It was a great experience, but it was very, very difficult. So would not do it again for sure.
Yeah, the swinging of the hammer, um, just getting in there and doing it. You do learn a lot, and it's
Mhm.
important, I think, that everybody. I mean, you don't have to go down that road, but I think everybody should consider at least participating in their projects. I know a guy who just does one thing on each project. He'll go in and maybe do the flooring here or maybe do the bathroom here just to, make sure that it's going, you're on site all the time, but also that you learn what is expected. Now definitely I'm sure you guys know what it's expected of the next person to take it over. So,
Mm.
um, we talked a little bit offline about, I guess you've been a landlord now for how many years?
Since 2013, I guess was kind of my first taste of being a landlord.
Right, because you've got the basement suite thing and the
Yeah.
rented thing. So, you had mentioned that right now you've got some rentals and you're at, I think it was 6 doors,
We're at 5 units.
5 units, and how many
Yeah.
doors total in the portfolio right now?
It'll be five.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them,
Yeah.
some people are like, "Oh, I've got 5 doors," but it's like 10 units or something.
Oh,
So,
okay. Yeah. Yeah.
so at what pace did you acquire those 5 doors?
Within the last 5 years, it would have been.
So about one a year, and has that
Yeah.
has that been self-financed so far?
Just this most recent Burr was a JV.
Mhm.
So that was initially my kind of roadblock after buying the first property. I just I wasn't educated. I didn't know how you could get enough money for another down payment. And then I found out about JVs. So that really opened up my eyes to how we can get things rolling a little bit quicker and pick up more properties.
Okay, and so um, who was it that opened your eyes to the joint venture? I think it mentioned something about a mentorship program that you joined or something like that.
Yeah, so I joined your real estate mentorship program May of last year.
Mhm.
And then my partner Sean, he was able to come on board. He wasn't really too interested in real estate at the time, but he joined me with the mentorship and then really got addicted to it as well.
Mhm.
And then that's where we learned about JVs. We also went to Rapid Cash, Barry Maguire's. So that was really, really motivating and eye-opening as well.
So you're addicted to kind of two things. I like to call it the education circuit and the real estate thing because it does kind of end up being together. I mean, there's lots on YouTube and things like that, but I think there's a lot of power in like events and going to things and streamlined training. So you had mentioned that you're also working on a little bit of a project there.
I am, yes. So I'm on mat leave right now, and even though I'm very busy with the baby, I do get bored quite easily. I like to keep things going at all times. So I am working on a landlord education course. I'm going to have different topics released at different time frames. So I'm hoping to have the first one done in January sometime.
Okay, and so if people if people are wondering what's in the box, what do you hope to deliver with that sort of program?
So very specific, kind of step by step. So I know when I was initially a landlord, I was kind of looking for resources for education, and there wasn't really a lot that I could find that was specific for Canada or even just Calgary or Alberta. So really specific marketing your rental property. Probably do something going through the RTA for Alberta here as well.
Yeah.
Tenant screening, super, super important. So I do have some good policies and procedures that I follow now that have worked really well for me. So kind of things like that.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that's it's either you learn through the school of hard knocks and you have to go to in Manitoba, it's the RTB, so residential tenancy branch, but you have the Alberta, I guess it's the Alberta tenancies branch. But you can either learn the hard way or you can learn the fast way, like learn most people choose property management ultimately so that they don't have to attend those, but with cash flow kind of being reduced with the interest rates, people are starting to have to self manage. Are you seeing more of your community there in Alberta starting to self manage?
Most investors I know do self-manage, especially with interest rates the way they are right now. Cash flow is really, really hard to find. So, I really just want to be able to empower landlords just to have the confidence to manage the properties themselves. It can still be and often is a lot of work, and you are going to hit situations that are really tough to deal with, but it is just part of the game. And being educated just helps you deal with it a little bit better.
Yeah, so let's talk about that for a second. Do you have any war stories that maybe people should that you can warn them? One good story and how to avoid that on being a landlord out there.
Uh, oh God, there's a few. I haven't had a lot, but I've had a couple. I would say probably the biggest thing that I see um rookie landlords, the mistake that they make is allowing tenants' leases to go month to month.
Oh yeah,
I did
yeah.
that. I had a tenant that was pretty good, clean, paid rent on time, allowed the lease to go month to month, and then they became a headache.
And the
It
rules get
was
kind of gray when it goes month to month. It's like you could leave
yeah.
anytime, I can kick you out anytime, but neither of us are doing that. So why don't we just get a lease in place? So renewing that lease is something you're saying is important.
Very, very important. Yeah. Once you go month to month, you're really giving the tenant all the power of your property. It is very hard to get them out, especially if they're not, following all your policies as the way you would like.
So here we are in 2023. It's October 20th for the timestamp of the podcast here. What does the next 3 years look like for your business?
For the next 3 years, we are hoping to probably pick up at least five more rental properties. We would like to get a couple of fix and flips under our belt as well.
Hmm.
And then for our buy and holds, we do like the Brrr method, so we'll probably stick with that. Again, it's just really going to depend what kind of deals come across the table and what they're really going to work for. If we can do a Brrr, or if we decide that we want to flip the property instead. So, looking forward to that.
And so I guess then you're going to have to start bringing on some more joint ventures and some more partners to grow that. Because once you get to a certain point, there's either the bank cuts you off or your personal finance cut you off. So what's your guys' plan moving forward with as far as, getting some more joint venture partners, things of that nature?
Yeah, so for joint venture partners, really networking is key. We've met so many investors through the mentorship program that we had joined. Um, in the beginning, I was terrified. I'm like, how can I ask anyone to invest with me? What do I know? So it is like a little bit of imposter syndrome. But once you network, you just meet so many people that are just like you that want to partner up. And it does become really, really easy.
Hmm. So, look, question I love to ask is, what advice would you have for someone who's thinking about getting started in real estate?
I would say definitely educate yourself, but don't get stuck on the education. It's really, really easy to do that. Just learn enough, get your first deal under your belt because you're going to learn so much more by doing than sitting and reading books and listening to podcasts. They are great, but you can easily get stuck in that education rut and then not move forward.
Yeah, stuck in the simulation. It's time to take it to the real
Hmm.
world and see what tenants are actually like. Now, there's good tenants out there. I'm not
Oh,
saying
for
that
sure.
they're all bad, but take it out of the simulator and you'll find things that you never expected. So, if people want to, they want to reach out to you, Amanda, how do they get in touch with you? What's the best way to find Amanda Pope online?
So Instagram, my handle is amanda.m.pope, or email will be amp bass rentals at gmail.com.
Okay, awesome. Well, you know what they say, time flies when you're having fun, and I really appreciate you being on the show here. And Until next time, guys, we'll catch you on the next episode.
Thanks so much.
Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewyou.com. Now at moneypartnerformula.com, we help real estate investors to create a process for predictably getting capital so they can do more deals without relying on hard money lenders or the banks. We do this by building them a private capital marketing system. Now, if you want help turning yourself into a big money capital attraction machine, then book a call with our team to see how we can help. Just visit moneypartnerformula.com to find out more. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next interview.